Mark Daly for the Task Force online with Rea Carey. Rea, a week is a long time in politics and apparently even longer when it comes to Supreme Court decisions. The very positive decisions that came out last week on marriage equality. What's the next big thing that we're going to have to focus our attention on? Because with all the good news, the stories that we're seeing on television about folks getting married, I mean, what's next for us?
Well, first, let me just say congratulations to all the couples over the weekend who finally gotten married. They've been able to get married, and we're very excited for that. The Supreme Court made that possible. Edie Windsor made that possible. Folks were bringing the Prop 8 case. So we're very excited about that this weekend and for people who now have that choice. And a very emotional week has gone by, certainly, since the Supreme Court rulings. But, you know, in some ways, the rulings and the elation that so many people are experiencing with that reveals a cruel irony for where lesbian, gay, bisexual, and transgender people are right now, which is you can go and have the wedding of your dreams and your friends and your family around you and show up the next week, put a picture of your wedding on your desk, and for so many people in this country, risk being fired simply because of who they are or who they love and who they've married. And so it's, you know, in some ways, at this very moment of progress and joy, there is a little bit of irony of what we face as a community and what we face as a country.
So that's the challenge. And there's a little bit of good news, optimistic news about that, maybe a lot of good news, next week happening in the Senate, right?
Indeed. In fact, you know, our community for years, really since we started, wanted to make sure that lesbian, gay, bisexual, and transgender people are protected in the workplace or protected in seeking a job in the workplace. And we are now at the point where the Senate is taking up the Employment Non-Discrimination Act, or ENDA, as it's commonly called, next week. This is a bill that our community has been working on for 2 decades, and it is high time that LGBT people receive protections in the workplace. So we're moving forward. It's very important. We've got momentum on our side. We've got public opinion on our side. We've got a lot of senators and other decision makers on our side. So the time is right to move this forward.
Americans are fair-minded people. They hate discrimination. This is part of this vote, right?
It's a basic issue of fairness, right? We, in this country, we want to be judged on our merits, our talents, and our skills, and our ability to do the job. We don't want to be, we don't want our job to be determined about what our family is like, or who we're in love with, or who we might be as a person in the world in terms of our gender identity or sexual orientation. So this is about protecting our ability to get a job, to be judged on our merits, and to succeed in the work that we do.
So we got the Senate vote next week, which is very important. And there's something else that's really important that can happen immediately, really, if the administration were to decide to do it, right?
Right. There are a few moving parts here. So first we have a committee that's going to take it up, the HELP committee in the Senate, to mark up the bill. And then we are pushing for a full Senate floor vote this year. Very important to move this forward. And then you're right. There is a critical piece of this that sits in the pen of the President of the United States, and that is he could sign an executive order today that protects people who work for federal contractors or subcontractors, millions of people, from discrimination based on sexual orientation and gender identity expression. And we and many others are pushing for that to happen. We need people's livelihoods to be protected.
So for the folks who are listening to this podcast right now and they want to get more involved in the work of the task force, how do they do that?
Well, there are a few ways to do that. Certainly follow us on Facebook. We post a lot. We spend a lot of time on our social media. So we're at National Gay and Lesbian Task Force on Facebook, and you can follow us at the Task Force on Twitter. And then certainly come onto our website. Lots of information up there, lots of updates about what's going to be happening, and that is thetaskforce.org. The time is critical right now to get involved in this issue. Yes, marriage is fantastic. I'm a married woman myself. But a lot of people choose not to get married, aren't in the place in their life to get married. But what everybody wants to be able to do is to provide a livelihood for themselves and their family. And that's what this is about. It's about fairness and about being able to get a job, to keep a job based on your skills and talents.
And on that accessing the American dream note, Rea Carey, thanks a lot.
Thank you so much.